Hello everyone and welcome to the Anime Zillia, and thank you for joining me as we discuss chapter 174 of the We Never Learn manga series. A chapter with a great explanation to a backstory entailing details about Naruyuki's father and the relationship that he shares with the Asumi clinic, or the Koanami clinic to be more precise. And of course we get a conversation between Asumi's father and Naruyuki's father, and this was something that we all expected to happen. But the way they handled it and the way they presented it was, in my opinion, very effective. So let's start with the flashback. Overall, I really like this backstory as it builds upon Asumi's character and it builds on her father's character as well. So the reason as to why I say this is simple. We learned that Naruyuki's dad requested to be treated at the Koanami clinic, but due to them being unequipped for the treatment that was requested, Asumi's father said, look, I can't do it here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to refer you to the state-of-the-art clinic that can actually help you out. And unfortunately, the referral that Asumi's father put in was denied. Therefore, no help could be given to Naruyuki's father, and he passed away. This, of course, left a heavy burden of guilt and sadness upon the Koanami clinic. And again, it builds up Asumi's father and Asumi's character, because Asumi, she was present during this flashback, so we know that she saw this conversation between her father and this man. She did not know who the man actually was, but she heard what her father's response was. And of course, this could also help to add and explain as to why Asumi is so driven to becoming a doctor. She wants to prevent what happened all that time ago. She wants to basically be able to give treatment to anybody and everybody within her clinic. She might not have known that this man in the flashback was Naruyuki's father at that time, but nevertheless, she might still feel guilty that her family's clinic failed to help someone that was in need. So that guilt would have driven her to becoming a doctor and to study. And again, she did not know that it was Naruyuki's father, but that guilt was there. And those feelings of guilt just kept growing and growing when you add on the reason as to why, Asumi refused those tickets from Naruyuki in Naruyuki's flashback a couple of chapters ago. Because she found out that that man was Naruyuki's father. And obviously, that adds into the timeline and the placement. So she finds out that just before she's going off to medical school, that, Naruyuki's father was the man that her clinic failed to save. And as a result, that man passed away. So once she found that information out, Naruyuki then went to her and asked her out with these tickets. And since she knew that information, she could not look at Naruyuki in the eyes anymore. So she refused. She wants him to be happy. And she feels like that once he finds out that his father went to the Asumi clinic or the Koanami clinic, and then they refused him for whatever reason, she probably feels like Naruyuki will harbor feelings of hatred and disdain towards them, which obviously would not happen because Naruyuki is not that type of character. But at the same time, you have to wonder if that's what Asumi is indeed feeling. As we know, she does harbor feelings towards Naruyuki, as this chapter helps to kind of reaffirm that with that lucky charm that Naruyuki bought for her all that time ago. She always keeps it on her. She always kind of looks at it for kind of support and guidance whenever she needs a little bit of encouragement or help. And obviously, you only do that with something that you treasure. And she treasures that little item because she treasures the person that gave it to her. However, because of this kind of inner struggle that she's having, where she found out that that person that she was guilty about her family clinic not helping out or being able to save is actually the father of the person that she just has all these feelings for. And that obviously is tearing her up inside. And it helps her father's character by showing off that he has some great emotion being displayed throughout that backstory. And he also mentions that he knew all along that Asumi and Naruyuki wasn't actually dating, which is something that you could have speculated, but at the same time, it still led us to some very comedic scenes as he was kind of like going along with it. Now, when it comes to Asumi's father, you have to wonder, why did he allow that dating scheme to go on if he knew that it was some kind of ruse and not actually true? Well then, a line did kind of stick out to me in that flashback. If you look at Naruyuki's father, he says to Asumi's father, "Oh, you have a daughter that's just off to high school?" And he goes up to her and says, "Hey little miss, would you like to marry my son in the future?" And then of course Asumi's father shuts us down and goes, "No, I'll never do that," and he's very overprotective. However, because of this, because of the fact that Yuiga's father passed away as a result of the Koinami clinic failing, Asumi's father might think this might be a small minute way of allowing himself to atone for not helping out a friend of his, by allowing Naruyuki to be happy with his daughter. And you know what? I can somewhat understand and see that, but at the same time, it does leave your head scratching a little tiny bit. Oh well, I still think it was a good showcasing for both characters as it builds upon Asumi and her father and kind of gives us more of that backstory. The whole ordeal about the father being revealed and the kind of information about Naruyuki's dad, I did not expect that from this route. If anything, I would have expected it from the Kirisu route, because that's the character who we know has more ties and more bonds between the two. Now, this ending really has got me slightly worried as to where this route might actually go, as we have a situation where two of Naruyuki's students are basically stuck in this situation where a storm is raging and it looks to be like they're in grave danger. And the reason as to why I say that this slightly worries me is because Naruyuki in the past has been shown to be a bit self-destructive / willing to do anything to help those in need. He always does things without actually thinking of the consequences to himself and other people that kind of, have feelings towards him or are close to him. He just does things to help anybody, and then he worries about the after effects afterwards. And we've seen this throughout the main timeline, and we've seen this throughout the other routes as well. And to me, this makes me think that something bad is going to happen to Naruyuki while saving these kids. Thus, as a result, Asumi will need to perform some type of operation in order to save Naruyuki. And I think this would actually be a good way to end the route off and to go down towards, as we go towards the climax, as it kind of forces Asumi to display her feelings up front and personalized. As we could see some looks of desperation, panic, fear, being portrayed from Asumi's character. If Naruyuki is lying there unconscious and kind of not breathing properly or struggling, and he's kind of got his eyes closed, Asumi could be looking down at him, trying to help him, maybe resuscitating him, and then kind of saying, "Come on, Naruyuki, wake up, please, please." As she's kind of desperate, she's helping him as best she can, and he's just not waking up. She starts saying all of the stuff that she wishes she could have said, if she never found out about Naruyuki's father, passing away as a result of the clinic. So I think that would be a great way to kind of bring those feelings to the forefront from Asumi's character, and it would fit with what is happening at the moment. Overall, I thought this was a brilliant chapter, as it helped clear up a few questions that we had from previous chapters and sets up for big things to come as we draw closer and closer to the climax of this route. Honestly, the comedy was actually really good at the start. We had the serious stuff towards the middle and at the end, but we started off with a bit of lighthearted comedicness with the Naruyuki and Asumi trying to kind of convince her father that the relationship is still going strong with the images, which I thought were great. The fact they did it in 2 seconds, and I don't really know how, but it is comedy. We don't need to question it too much. But at the same time, yeah, I'm really enjoying myself on this route, and I'm excited to see where it's going to go next. Did you notice that there was a Kirisu cameo throughout this chapter as well? It's right here, this panel, if you didn't catch it. But that being said, I want to know what your thoughts are on the chapter itself. Let me know where you think this route is going to go. How would you like it to end? And, any thoughts in general, really. As always, like the video if you did, subscribe if you're new so you never miss a video from me, and until next time, I hope you have an amazing day. Arigato, matane, goodbye.